So let's have a look at using PowerShell to manage our sites in Active Directory, or as PowerShell likes to refer to them, our AD-replication sites. The first thing we'll go over is creating a site. But before that, let me actually demonstrate that I just have the default site. So here in our demo environment, we've got one site, just the default. But to create a site, it's really simple. We use the New-ADReplicationSite commandlet, and the only required parameter is the name parameter. So we can create one with just a name. So here I'm creating one called Moon. And if we use the Get-ADReplicationSite and specify the name of the site, it will return that. And of course, with the other data that's been set just by default. And so if we want to set the other properties when we create it, we can. So for instance, we can specify a replication schedule. So here on line 26, I'm creating a new schedule object. And then to actually set the schedule, it takes two lines here, 27 and 28. We're resetting it and then setting the schedule. And you notice the set daily schedule, that's got some special syntax there. And then to set that on our new site, so I've got a site here to line 29, I'm calling Mars. I'm setting the replication schedule using the schedule variable that we just set, and also setting the description, just to be clear where it is. And then if we use the Get-ADReplicationSite, specifying the name we just created, you notice on this one that it actually has the replication schedule populated. So on Moon, I'll bring that one back up, notice it does not. But if we look at the replication schedule property, it actually shows up as an object. It's got false, false, false. So it has a true false entry for each 15-minute segment for a whole day. It's a big array there. So I wanted to make 3 of them just because good things come in threes, right? So here we can actually copy a site. So I'm using Get-ADReplicationSite to get the site we just created and setting the site to copy variable with that information. Then I'm creating a new AD-replication site, but you notice I'm setting the name and the description and then using the instance parameter to specify the site we're copying. So what this will do is copy the other settings of Mars, specifically the schedule, since that's the only other setting we set. So if I run this, we can take a look at Venus here, and we can see that the replication schedule is set there as well. And then, looking at that specific property again, yields us the same result. So that's how you create them. Let's have a look at changing some of the settings on them. So Set-ADReplicationSite is very similar to the other Set-AD commands. So here, for instance, we want to set Moon to have that same replication schedule. I still have that schedule in the variable. So we just use Set-ADReplicationSite, specify the name, and then the replication schedule using that parameter. So there we go. And so then if we actually, let's scroll back up, we look at the replication site of Moon again. You notice now that the replication schedule is populated. We can set settings for multiple sites. So let's say we wanted to change that schedule. 8 o'clock was too early. We wanted to start at 9. So we set the schedule here, line 58, and then set it to start at 9 and finish up at 11:45, line 59. And so what I'm going to do here, Get-ADReplicationSite, I'm using the filter parameter. So the filter parameter here is just like the filter parameter on all the other Get-AD commandlets. So I'm saying the name is not like default. So all the ones that aren't the default site. So if I run just this part of the command, you can see here that we've got Venus, we've got Mars, and we've got the Moon, but not the default site, which is exactly what we wanted. And so I'm going to pipe that to the Set-ADReplicationSite to set our new schedule. And so that'll set the schedule on all 3 of them. The only problem there is using the Get-ADReplicationSite to look at the schedule. You saw it was a massive array, so it's not really feasible to pull back up. Let's try another property here. So for instance, we're going to look at the schedule hashing enabled. So whether or not it hashes the time it starts the replication schedule. So I'm going to skip down to line 65. We'll first look at the current settings. So you can see that these are all set to just nothing. And then if we run line 63 and set all of them to false, we can look at line 65 again, and we can see that they're now set to false. So it's very good at using the pipeline. And so we can also set the inner site topology generator as well. The demo environment I've got, we've only got 1 domain controller, so it's not a lot of room to do a whole lot of demonstration, but here is how you would do it. So we've got the inner site topology generator parameter, specifying the name of the domain controller we want to fill that role, and there, we've now set it. So the last thing that we'll run through is removing AD-replication sites. So this is pretty simple. It's just remove-ADReplicationSite. The simplest way to use it is just specifying the name. So here, Moon's coming in with just itself. So if we run remove-ADReplicationSite, You'll notice that it is prompting me. Here in the next step, I'll show you how to keep that prompt from coming up if you don't want it to. And if you're scripting this, of course, you don't want this to come up. But if you're sitting at the console, this is good to see. So I'm going to go ahead and hit yes here to remove it. And then if I want to look at that site again, I can use the Get-ADReplicationSite, and it could not find the object. That red text scared me for a second. But in this case, it's good. So then to remove multiple sites here, so I've got another filter. You'll notice that for this demo, I haven't really gone over Get-ADReplicationSite, but I have actually. Through each of the steps, we've done something a little different. So here, I'm actually going to use a filter based on the when created property. So replication sites don't have a created property that's filterable. It has the when created property. So here, I'm going to create a date time that is 20 minutes ago. So get date.addMinutes -20. And then I'm going to get all of my replication sites that I've created in the last 20 minutes. Which should be Venus and Mars, since we already removed the moon. So if we scroll up here, we've got Venus, we've got Mars, and no others. So then I'm going to pipe these to the Remove-ADReplicationSite. And I'm using the confirm false flag so it doesn't prompt me like before. And that's what you want to use in scripts. I mean, as long as you're sure that you want to remove the sites. I mean, of course, you always want to be careful about that. But if you're working at the console, it's always a good thing to have that come up just in case. Or, of course, you could use a what if flag. But here running that, you can see we don't get any output. But if we were to run that same Get-ADReplicationSite again, you notice we get no output, which means they were deleted. So anyway, good luck scripting and automating your replication sites in Active Directory. That was how to use PowerShell to manage your AD replication sites.